I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, January the 8th, brought to you in part by Zach Tran. Stress opens the gate to bovine respiratory disease. Changes in the weather cause a lot of stress. Slam that gate shut with Zach Tran. Remember to observe your 35-day withdrawal period after treatment. For more information, go to zachtran.com or visit with your Bangor Ingelheim representative. Time to move on. We've kind of been concentrated on all the politics and things, and a lot of us have paid more attention to it over the last 4 or 5 years due to President Trump being in there, but it's gone back to the swamp now, so it won't be as much fun, and I'm sure a lot of us won't be quite as engaged as we have been over the last 4 or 5 years, having a leader up there that spoke for us and used words that we could relate to and basically said the things that we would like to have said. But the things that happened there on Wednesday just kind of made everybody sick. The storm in the Capitol and everything, and whether or not you believe that Trump kind of incited that violence, he sure got them stirred up. But every time there has been a mob or a protest of any kind over the last several years, somebody's been in there stirring them up. That's what they do. That's why you get together and protest, is because you're stirring each other up, and that's the way it goes. The worst thing about it is people that got killed, especially the young woman that got killed. If you guys saw some of those pictures, they were pretty gruesome, and it just makes you wonder if the tables were completely turned with that situation, with that woman being shot. She was unarmed, she was with a big group there, and they didn't put up a whole lot of resistance to them coming into the Capitol, and then all of a sudden she's shot. And we hate to bring up race, but if you put those things together, if they were exactly opposite, and you guys know what I'm talking about, there would be all kinds of riots going on for the foreseeable future. But we're not going to see any of that, being that it happened the way that it did. But I tell you guys, it's kind of disgusting that we've got the liberal left completely in charge now. They can do anything they want to do. They can push anything that they want to push through. We're likely going to have at least one more, if not 2 more states. They're going to mess up our flag. They're going to mess up everything. With those 2 extra states being District of Columbia and maybe even Puerto Rico, if we get those 2 new states, then they're going to be have 2 senators each, and then have a representation in there, and they will always be Democratic, and so conservative movement will never have another chance of being in power for the most part, and so they'll probably pack the Supreme Court to get the things pushed through that they want. Unborn babies are going to be aren't going to be protected likely going forward. Just going to be changing a lot of things. I mentioned minimum wage, I think, on our last visit. They want to take the minimum wage to $15 an hour at least. $15 an hour, it hadn't been very long ago. That was been top money up there. But you think, well, what's that going to change if we have $15 an hour minimum wage? Well, are you going to have a $1.99 value menu at your fast food places? I would doubt that. How are they going to maintain that if they're having to pay that kind of money for their people? And so, are people going to go to your hamburger joints as often? If if you guys have lived kind of on a budget, especially when you're young, like I have. I spent 1 year of my life up at South St. Paul Stockyards in Minnesota. I was young, I was by myself, was up there, and kind of the first time away from home. It was cheaper to go to McDonald's and eat than it was to go to the grocery store. It really was, and a lot of people find that. Well, we're probably not going to see that if they start paying, they raise that minimum wage that high. And so, people may, and they've already transitioned to home eating a lot because of this pandemic. They're going to continue to do that. It could change, the amount of beef that they take in if they're not going to hamburger joints as often. And I really think it can make a serious impact. You look at your packing plants, if a guy, just standing behind a counter in McDonald's with no skills, not really having to work that hard, if he's making $15 an hour, what are you going to have to pay these people to come to work in a packing plant? And something that's fairly dangerous to do. You have to have skills. There's a lot more stress involved and everything. Not quite as enjoyable to work there, and it's harder work. What are you going to have to pay him? Well, there are a lot of these plants, and I was talking with somebody the other day that said $16.50 an hour. Kind of starting out in a packing plant, working on the floor there. Well, they're probably going to want more than $1.50 more an hour to do that kind of work than the guy that works in McDonald's. What's that going to bring? That's going to raise your prices. Everything's going to raise. Everything's going to get more expensive. And as we do that going forward, that means our dollar's going to be less and less, worth less and less. We're going to run into a situation where everything's just going to start costing us more and more and more, and it's just going to take more money. The inflation will run rampant, and the dollar will be devalued, and so that's going to definitely affect things as we go forward, especially with our food. I've told you guys many times the things that the government does. Some of the big ones is they protect us from our enemies. They provide infrastructure, and they make food cheap, which works out really good unless you're in the business of producing the food. Well, all these changes are going to affect that. And how are people going to stay in business? Are they going to continue to support the farmers with programs? Are they going to continue to allow you guys that have these cheap government land leases to keep your property together and continue to do business? Who knows what they're going to do? I tell you what they're going to do is whatever they want to do. Anything that they can dream up to push through, they can push through, and it's kind of scary, guys. But let's talk about some of your meat things, your beef things that we saw kind of wrap up for last year. Our beef exports have been very, very good. We saw November information come through. Largest beef exports that we've had on November, on record for November. In fact, November was the fourth biggest month we've ever recorded as far as exporting beef. So, our beef exports have been fantastic. If we had these restaurants open back up and food service up there, there's no telling what we could do. Where's a lot of our stuff going? To our regular customers, our north and south neighbors. Mexico's a little bit behind for the year taking product, but China is picking up, and year to date China is up 13%. So they'll probably be doing more than that. They've kind of got Joe Biden in their back pocket, so they should probably show some good faith and start doing a lot of business with us, especially on this get-go. So it could help things, on our beef exports there, because we probably will start doing even more business with China as far as selling them beef, because they've just about used everybody else up that they get product from. And globally we're running a little bit tight, in places that are close for them to get it, New Zealand and Australia and things like that. Our imports, we had the second largest imports ever year to date for last year. So, we're sending more of our beef out, and then we're bringing more of it in. A lot of that had to do with the pandemic and things, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm kind of like Trump whenever he heard about the beef exports. Why are we importing beef from other places whenever we've got plenty of it? It is hard to figure, but it's part of our global trade, and that's just kind of the way things go. And there's different prices, different demand levels for different products, but I don't disagree with that, what Trump was saying, and it's just going to be a long time before we can really relate to our leaders anymore, because I can't even really understand what Biden's saying half the time, let alone relate to him, and I think a lot of us feel that way. But we're gonna have to move on. I was driving through coming back from Missouri back to Texas Panhandle on Thursday, and didn't listen to near as much talk radio, talk news as what I usually do. Switched it back over to some old classic country, and it doesn't stress you out quite as much, and it's not nearly as frustrating to listen to. But let's talk about your board on Thursday there. Your February live cattle futures were down just 2 cents at 114.97. April was up 22 cents at 119.50. Going out from there, going forward, down a quarter to up 42 cents, so a little bit uneven. January feeder cattle up 92, so we saw some gaining of that. We're not going to be all that down for the week there, because we had a really hard down early in the week on feeder cattle, but we have seen that come back a little bit. 136.70 for January. March was up $1 at 137.57. Going out from there, up $1 to up $1.35 on your out front, so that's pretty good. Fat cattle trade, we did see the bulk of the fat cattle trade on Thursday. Didn't have a lot of confirmed sales. It kind of happened in the afternoon, and so they didn't get them all put together. But market fully steady, and you could say steady to $1 higher. We didn't see hardly any trade below 112 live basis, and we saw a spread last week from 111 to 112. Still mostly 112, but and our dressed price will sure be steady to stronger, and then steady to $1 higher there, because we did see more 177. So and I think that's going to be a good deal. But pretty good market, really. I mean, I know it's not ever as high as we want, but we were able to gain ground there quite a bit. You guys know, $4 to $5 live, $8 to $9 through the 2-week holiday there, and then to hold that together, and even pushing on the strong side, especially with the board being against us and a lot of uncertainty in your markets. Not too bad. But pretty good deal. Iowa had confirmed sales of 3,600 head on Thursday. Ranged from 175 to 180 live, mostly 176 to 177. That's dress basis. Nebraska, 2,500 head there, 112 live, 176 to 177, and a lot of that dress basis sale there, and they had a lot more than 2,500. They started swinging the gates pretty wide there later in the afternoon. It just didn't get tallied up. Kansas had confirmed sales 112, pretty much everything. Texas had some more 112, and we want to thank that Texas Cash Pool for establishing that 112 on Tuesday. So you guys know they had the sealed bid deal there with Consolidated Beef Producers. Had several packers participating in that. They reported the bids at Cattle Trades there on Twitter. The top bid was 112.03. They sold the small gathering, a pool of cattle there on Tuesday, and we were able to hold that market. I think you guys, if you want to try to help this cash market out, even you corporate guys, you know, you could contribute a pin to that cash pool, and I think it could be a good deal, and we need to get something going like that, guys. We've been trying just about everything, but I think it's a good idea, and I think it could really take off, and it gives your packers the opportunity to show good faith and get started with the trading a little bit earlier in the week. But that's going to be on Tuesdays, guys, so don't dilly-dally. If you've got a pen of cattle or a few loads or whatever you got that you would like to contribute, get a hold of Consolidated Beef Producers. Cost you less than $2 a head to get those sold. You know, be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Box beef cutout values a little bit higher on Thursday. They've been up and down a little bit this week. Choice cuts 205.81 up 54 cents. Select 196.59 up 51 cents. We had the actual slaughter data come in for the week ending just after Christmas there. Your average dressed steer carcass weight 913 pounds, down 7 pounds, down big, and it's going to be coming down, and we've kind of gotten back to normal on all this. Our weights aren't much different than what they were this time a year ago. Slaughter's kind of getting back there through all that upheaval that we had with the gouging, the not being able to keep the plants open, couldn't keep workers in there, and then we got way behind, and we kind of got back to normal. And we wondered if we would get that way before the end of the year, and here we are, start of a new year, and we're just about back to normal. Your slaughter for this week, it's kind of hard to gauge because we've had the holidays around, but so far this week through Thursday, 466,000. That is 26,000 less than the same week a year ago. Let's talk about what else is going on. This Sunday, we got a production sale. Of course, we got a jillion production sales on DV auction every weekend, and it's going to get busier and busier as we go forward. But Wrestler Land and Cattle in Cooperstown, North Dakota, they've got their sale at noon, January 10th on Sunday. And got a Feeder Flash gang member there that called and said, hey man, I'd like to get a shout out on that. And they're featuring 2-year-old Red Angus bulls there. Pretty good kind, guys. You might want to get on and check that out, dvauction.com. What else is going on? I've looked around and seen that, I'm getting the first reports back from the National Western Stock Show, which they weren't able to do in Denver because they've got liberal leadership there. And so they've moved that mostly all to Oklahoma City. And the first reports back from the guys that went to the first shows there, they got a lot of purebred cattle shows and this and that, and they pretty much moved all of it to Oklahoma City. They love it. And, it's kind of one of those deals, why would we want to go back to Denver? The traffic's not nearly as bad. The roads might be rougher, if you guys know Oklahoma City very well, but traffic not nearly as bad. Not all the hotel rooms smell like weed. And the guys say the people are a lot friendlier. It's easier to get around. They're glad that they're there. And, to heck with Colorado. If you guys are going to elect, leadership to be liberal and you want them to run and kind of dominate, tell you what to do and shut everything down, then, maybe you don't get to keep those big events. They tore the stockyards down anyway, which is the reason most of us like to go, was the nostalgia of the stockyards, and just kept, pushing and pushing, commercializing that event. And, a lot of people loved, the Denver Stock Show. I was one of them. When I was a kid, I had great memories of taking car lot cattle up there to sell in the Bell Ringer, which used to be on site there when they had the auction sale right there, and get to keep those cattle in the yards. Well, that's all gone now, And so, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't lose some of those shows. Individually that they're having good luck having them there in Oklahoma City, but Texas is getting to have all the rodeos, Oklahoma's getting to have big events, and then you see these people from California and people from New York, moving to places like Florida and Texas and all that, because they like the way of life there, but then they come down and they vote the same way they did before. Well, use your head, guys. But let's go ahead and talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction. Late in the day on Thursday at 136.14, that was up 10 cents. So it's been pretty much steady here once we got past early week. Talk about your big sales on Thursday. Winter livestock, Pratt, Kansas there, 5,300 head, big sale for them. Feeders there $2 to $6 lower, and that's from 3 weeks ago, guys. So pretty big length of time between sales, but feeders $2 to $6 lower than kind of the middle of last month. Steer calves $8 to $10 lower, heifer calves $2 to $4 higher, but still had a good sale there in Pratt, Kansas. How about a sale that I saw on Western Video Market there on Thursday? They had one of the internet videos through DV Auction there. Diamond J Cattle Company, and they're up in Montana on the eastern side, had 6 loads of home-raised ranch weaned steers there, 800 pounds. Now they did have programs on them, which, on these videos they're selling program cattle really well. NHTC, verified natural, gap 1, and really nice set of home raised steers there. 6 loads of them in all. Diamond J Cattle Company, weaned steers, 800 pounds, 6 loads of them, $153.50 for March delivery. And those were consigned by Frontier Stockyards through Miles City sale barn there. So that really good sale there on Western Video Market. Talking about video markets, Superior's Bell Ringer, they took the name off of the old car lot sale there. Their Bell Ringer is going to be there in Oklahoma City during the National Western at a better site, and that's going to be I think Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think they've added a day onto that, so it's going to be a 3-day sale instead of a 2-day sale because they had a lot of consignments there. What about some other brick and mortar type sales? Farmers and Ranchers Livestock, Salina, Kansas, 4,300 head there. The market reporter did not put a comparison on there. I guess just had no way to track what the market was the last time they were there. I don't even know why somebody would go to a sale like that. And of course, I did that for so many years. Why would you even go spend the government's money going to a sale and then not call a trend because you don't have any reference to go back to? Call it 2 or 3 weeks if you need to. How about a sale in Kentucky that I thought was pretty impressive with the number of loads they had. Look at these load lots from Farmers Regional Livestock Market in Glasgow, Kentucky. Look at all these loads of steers here. You think they sell them all one at a time? Not in Kentucky, not at Farmers Regional Livestock there. Look at all these loads and sell them pretty darn good. But, I would think that some of you guys that are blowing your brains out on these winter projects, you farmer feeders, I realize those cattle are not going to have as much hair as what you want, but still, look how much cheaper those cattle are than some of those prices you've been paying in the Midwest. But still, you might want to get in there and get interested in those cattle. But one lot I picked out, I thought sold really well. 76 head, 721 pound load of steers, bring 133. That's a pretty good market right there. How about another Kentucky sale? Rumor has it, Farms, Mike Thornton there that I've talked to several times, Paris, Kentucky at Paris Stockyards. He sold 373 head of his 874 pound feeder steers there at $131.60. They gave them an option on at least 2 loads or more, and the guy cleaned the slate, 6 loads of them like that. Pretty good sale on those. How about our top sale that we saw on Thursday? Ogallala Livestock Market there, 8,100 head in Ogallala, Nebraska. Look at this automated market report and look at the numbers of head they had in the best tested weight groups and the weighted average prices on all the cattle that were there. 1,393 head of the 5 weight steers averaged $550 at $170.70. Almost 1,300 head of 6 weight steers averaged $653 at $151.88 on the average. 938 head of 7 weight steers averaged $743 at $143.95 on the average of all the 7 weights. On the heifers, 786 head of the 4 weight heifers averaged $463 at $170.40. 818 head of the 5 weight heifers averaged $551 at $156.23. And 967 head of 6 weight heifer calves averaged $633 with a weighted average price of $141.43. The top price that I saw anywhere come out of Ogallala also. And your Zach Tran top quote for the day, 51 head, 505 pound steer calves in Ogallala, $190.50. That's your feeder flash for Friday.